I made a water flow inside the building. I painted black and white. And I even poured the concrete into the hole. After facing problems I mentioned in the previous video, now I'm moving on how to build internal pipe system for the irrigation. So the water flow you can't see, but it actually happened. As the water flows in, it can reach every tanks, each one filled with the same solution. The real challenge is how to make the water run smoothly. It needs to satisfy two conditions. A is no support inside the building pipe. B is a clean open path. It requires a little fine-tuning. I mean, you have to jump between two softwares, design and slicer. It's all about the angle to get everything perfect. Everything looks great in the virtual world, but the real test is the reality. Because without the running water, the pipe is nothing more than an annoying stick. Everything checks. Now let's print it. With the print complete, the next step was removing all the support material. Now let's test the pipe and see if it actually works. To make the process easier to see, I use purple acrylic to test with a syringe. Each tank has its own hoses, and the water flow should always move from top to bottom because of the gravity. When I was filming this part, I honestly couldn't even remember how I designed this pipe system because it's too complicated. All I could do was rely on editing the purple acrylic later. Add a bit of water into acrylic, use a syringe to stir it gently, push and pull slowly until it becomes a mix. Then draw some in and inject it little by little. Move slow like this, keep everything under control, and it can save your table from a messy situation. Don't ask me how I do it, just trust me. Most of holes worked just fine. Only one or two didn't. But that is not a big deal. I simply used a hand drill, noted the detail on paper, and I would redesign later in Fusion 360. I give it a pass overall. It is time to move on to the next stage, the painting stage. After cleaning out all the purple acrylic, it's time to start painting the black coat. There are two main reasons for this. First, the black coat is a protection for the 3D printed material. And second, it is essential for creating the marble effect later. I'm using a turntable to get an even coat. There are a lot of surface here, so I need to paint that very carefully. Paint a little, turn a little, let it dry, and then go for the next surface. It's really a test of two hands cooperation. Spray from about 20 to 30 meters away with one hand, while gently turn the table, gently, with the other. I 3D printed this turntable from MakerWorld. It works fine, but there are a few drawbacks that don't fit my setup. I will take some time to summarize my experience and research ideas for personal turntable in the future. If you're interested, please do subscribe and follow the channel. I won't let you down. Once the black coat is done, let's sit for about 3 hours before moving to the acrylic painting because we need to let it dry completely. To some of you may not know, acrylic is actually a very good waterproofing material once it's dry. ChatGPT told me the answer, and I tested it by myself in my previous moss garden project. It was perfect! Painting takes time, so we need to be patient. Make sure every surface is fully covered. No water, just paint. For the brush, pick the middle size, and make sure to cover every corner evenly as you go. Work on one surface at a time. Yeah, you have to paint that gently, slow and even, until it flows smoothly across the surface. It's kind of like a marble. If you got gloves, go ahead and wear them. But if you don't have, that's totally fine. Acrylic is pretty safe and eco-friendly. Just make sure to wash your hand right after you finish your job. The reason I didn't use my current turntable here is pretty simple. It's hard to control the angle. It's also very difficult to stop at the exact position I want. And that's pretty important to the printing process. So under that situation, doing it by hand gives me more control. Sure, it gets a bit of messy, but at least the appearance should be in an ideal condition. I think it's looking pretty good for a marble-like surface. Each painted surface needs about 2 to 3 hours to dry completely. Once all the painting is done, we can move on to the concrete work. Yeah, let's pour the concrete. The contrast between the moss and the concrete is quite interesting. That's why I wanted to add some concrete elements in this moss garden. There's a problem I was aware of before starting: air bubbles. For the solid concrete, I need to gently shake or tape wall to release the bubble. You can clean off the cement with a hobby knife and some paper. When it is wet, a rough cleanup is enough. Once it's fully dry, you can go back and deal with the details. Once it settles, I wait about 12 hours and then the concrete part is complete. In the next video, I will paint different colors, type the wall up, peel off types, and put them on the Ginga. See you next time. Take care. If you want to know more, please check out these videos. I appreciate your support.